Hey you beautiful people, welcome back to my channel Read Travel Become. So yesterday I put up a poll on my YouTube community tab page asking you guys whether you guys prefer reading fiction or non-fiction books. So the results are actually quite balanced. A lot of you like both fiction and non-fiction. The people who like fiction books explained that why do they like fiction books. They said that they like fiction because they are engaged in stories are entertaining for them, and the people who liked non-fiction said that they like non-fiction because non-fiction gives them some kind of rules to live by, some kind of motivation to live by. But in this video I'm going to specifically talk about fiction books. I'm going to talk about the world of stories. So let me rewind my life a little bit. When I just started reading, I started with fiction, but after I had read quite a few books, the people around me, the people I knew, the people who were actually well read told me that you should shift to non-fiction books. You should try more self-help books and philosophical books so that you develop a more comprehensive intellect. And this fact actually got me thinking that what value I was getting by reading fiction books. I personally liked fiction a lot. I was totally engaged in all the stories, but it got me thinking and I started researching about, is reading fiction actually valuable? What value do you get after reading fiction? Like after reading non-fiction, it obviously feels like you've learned a new thing and you can straight away implement that in your life. If you're watching a movie, if you're playing a video game or watching TV for that matter, you feel you are entertained by watching the story which is shown to you. So how different is reading fiction books? Is it not just a form of entertainment? What value do we get out of it? So welcome to this new video. In this video I'm going to tell you some mind-blowing, interesting facts about reading fiction books and how fiction books are as valuable as non-fiction books. I'll tell you why reading fiction books is not at all a waste of time. This video is going to have a lot of information. This video is going to be fun. Make sure you watch the video till the end. You may never know which thought or fact may resonate with you and change the course of your life. So let's get started.
When you read a novel, what happens is that the words trigger representations in your imagination, and a lot of the information from which, a lot of what you extract the information from is actually your imagistic representation of the words.
So there has been a lot of research on this topic, that how reading fiction, how reading stories has been valuable to people. A lot of eminent universities have published research papers on this very topic. There has been scientific advancement and scientific research on this topic. I went through some of these researches and they were pretty interesting to me, and I'm very excited to share all these information with you. So basically I've condensed all those benefits into three important metrics. These three important metrics sum up every benefit that you may get from fiction books apart from being entertained. There are many hidden and trivial benefits which you might not have heard of reading fiction books. So let's get started with the three metrics. The first metric is actually a scientific metric. A research was taken up by the Emory University. They actually gathered some undergraduate students and they made these people read novel, and while they were reading these novels, the activity in their brains was simulated and analyzed. The results which came out were pretty interesting. So before they started reading novels and after they started reading novels, there was a very enhanced brain activity. It was seen after they have done reading, in their brain, those regions which are responsible for motor activities, those regions were fired up. Let me put this in a very simple way. So when you run, when you jog, there's a certain part of your brain which gets fired up. There are some motor activities going on in your brain, and it was found out that when you are reading about running, the same part of the brain was fired up. So basically you can think of it like when you are reading about a man, you are actually running in his shoes. You are actually imagining yourself in his shoes or doing that running. So it's a very fascinating thought. And I found out more about this, and a research study by the University of Sussex suggested that reading stories, reading fiction books can help reduce your anxiety and stress levels. A mere 6-minute reading exercise can decrease your stress levels by almost 60%. You think about it, whenever you are reading, whenever you are sailing with Moby Dick, whenever you are in Hogwarts with Harry Potter, wherever you are in that Iran war with Khalid Hosseini's characters, whenever you are flying kites with Hassan in the Kite Runner, you feel you are actually there, right? Now imagine your brain is actually simulating all of these experiences and you're learning from all of these experiences. Your brain is actually growing, an exercise for your brain muscles. And this way, reading stories, reading fiction is actually changing your brain. The next important metric which came out was a very important term. This term has been frequently associated with reading stories and reading fiction. This term was popularized by the author Anne Patchett, and the term is empathy. So when you read fiction, you develop empathy for characters. You develop a certain kind of feeling for that character. You feel for that character. You become emotionally invested in those characters. It greatly helps to develop your social cognitive abilities. Story writers like Shakespeare and Franz Kafka and Dostoevsky, why are they so popular? Why do people study them so much? Because the characters which these authors have written, they have such a wide range of emotions that you feel some of those emotions are actually your emotions. You see somewhere of your emotions in the character of Macbeth. You see your decision making problem in Prince Hamlet's character. You see that aloneness, loneliness, the concept of existentialism in Gregor Samsa's Metamorphosis. So empathy is a very, very important metric which has been come up. There's a very, very interesting lecture by Dr. Jordan Peterson on Harry Potter. He has compared how the character of Harry Potter actually depicts all of humanity. It's a brilliant lecture. Put the link in the description below. You can check it out. I'll reiterate some points from the lecture which I found very fascinating. So there's an underground tunnel, the Chamber of Secrets as it's known. There's a basilisk, there's a snake in that tunnel. So this snake actually represents our inner demon. Everybody has an evil side. It's like a yin-yang concept where there's a little bit of evil inside of all of us. Harry is also touched by the evil. He's touched by Voldemort. He has a part of Voldemort inside him. So it's his job now to face that evil and conquer that evil. The way to the tunnel is actually through the bathroom, which is a very inconsequential place. It's a very trivial place. So Dr. Peterson says that sometimes to face your greatest evil, to face your greatest fears, you have to use the most inconsequential means to do that. So this is a brilliant analogy, and there are lots and lots of analogies in many great works. That's why empathy is one of the most important metric which you develop by reading stories. The next metric which we are going to talk about is actually a very deep philosophical question. We won't really deep dive into the intricacies, but it helps us to answer a basic question: who am I? The way to explain this is that, see, by reading non-fiction books, you get a set of rules that you should do this. There are these kind of rules. People have done this and they have reached here. But some of the fiction stories are so hard-hitting and so powerful. They've tried to tap into the basic human emotions, the day-to-day emotions, and they've tried to answer the purpose of their lives. In many of the novels you will find the main goal of the central protagonist is to find his or her own purpose in life. It is said that when you ponder over questions like these, a certain idea pops up and you change the world. You are inspired greatly by these works of fiction and you might change the world. For example, Charles Darwin, who gave one of the most revolutionary theories in the history of our revolution, in the history of our civilization, the survival of the fittest. Charles Darwin was greatly inspired by stories in which the central character was actually changing himself in different situations. He was actually adapting to the difficulties. He had a villain, so he was changing his ideology to face the villain. He was basically being tested in all these conditions. By reading all these stories, Charles Darwin came up with a theory of survival of fittest. Elon Musk has frequently talked about Isaac Asimov's novels have greatly led him to take an interest in robotics, in building SpaceX and Tesla. So stories have greatly inspired him. Albert Einstein has been greatly inspired by the works of Fyodor Dostoevsky. Karl Marx, who is one of the most original thinkers of the world, has been greatly inspired by Shakespeare and his tragedies. So yeah, the more stories you read, the more you are open to ideas, the more you are open to interpretation. So I really don't like the fact that in school, how we were taught reading novels. What does the author mean by why the curtains are blue? So it's an open interpretation. You can interpret whatever you want. You can be inspired by the blue, you can be demotivated by the blue. So in this way, actually, reading stories helps you. Reading fiction helps you. So yeah, those were those points. I really wanted to talk about these points because these points really fascinated me when I went through the research papers and stuff. So I made this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found some value in this video, and I hope the next time you read stories, I really hope you get inspired and change the world. We need a lot of original thinkers. We need a lot of revolutionary people. We need young, energetic people who can change the world one day at a time. So I hope this video inspires you to read more and more stories and travel the world together with the author. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like the content, don't forget to press the like button down below, put a comment, share the video if you think this video would be beneficial to someone, and do subscribe to my channel where I come up with such content every week. And yeah, do keep supporting me. I really appreciate all your support, and thank you so much for supporting me. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.